7 o'clock. We're going to get started with the Wednesday Wind Down webinar and YouTube show for people that like to go backpacking, people like to hang out with their friends, maybe drink beer, maybe bullshit, people that like to go hiking. So, and people that have a hard time doing it because of COVID. So we're virtual on this one. So I'm Dan Conger. I am the host. And tonight I'm drinking Firestone Walker 805. It's my house beer right now. So Jim, would you introduce yourself and tell us what you have?
Jim Kurtz, and I'm drinking Guinness.
Wonderful. And Dave?
Dave Cowan, and I have Modern Times Coffee Stout.
Oh, coffee stout. Okay. It's funny. Modern Times, I'm always thinking of my wife really likes their tropical, I want to say it's Fortunate Islands.
Yeah.
The tropical IPA. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So it's like a fruit-based, got a fruit note in it. It's
funny how I'm not a hoppy IPA guy, but some of those fruit.
You can take them. Yeah. I've got a friend who hates beer and she likes grapefruit sculpin. Mm-hmm. Like she'll drink like a half a Corona. And like, yeah. But she's like, ooh, I like this.
I think that the acidity cuts some of the bitterness. I think that might be.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay. Tonight we're talking about packs. So we're doing this kind of like we did with the tent talk. We're going to talk about packs that we've had over the years. Maybe it's something we still own. Maybe it's our first one. Maybe it's not. And when it was interesting to kind of see where we had overlap and where we didn't. Jim and I have something very, very similar, not the same. Dave has some overlap with Jim. So we're kind of looking at how those all fit together. So we're going to talk about packs that we've owned, what we've liked about them, maybe what we didn't like about them, or what maybe made us move on from them. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll show you what.
There's the screen.
Six Moons Designs Fusion. This is Dave. Dave, you're up. You want to tell us about this pack?
Yeah. So this was a pack that Six Moons Design did a collaboration with the guy who used to own ULA, Brian Frankel, is it?
Yeah.
And after he sold ULA, he had like a non-compete clause or something for a while, but he got into this collaboration and made this line of packs with the guy Ron. Is it Ron?
Ron Moak.
Ron Moak, yeah.
Nice.
So anyway, I bought this at the PCT kickoff in San Diego, the first year they came out. So it was generation 1 of these new packs. Very nice, very pretty light, volume of 65 liters. This current one is heavier by like 10 ounces than it used to be. The first generation was lighter.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They had heavier. Yeah, they had a couple of feedback issues. I think the side pockets were just a band of fabric, and they didn't have any sort of a bellows in the bottom of them. So they added, you can see on that image, they added a thin strip of fabric on the bottom and then solid fabric on the side. And the back pocket was a little bit smaller, and a couple of the side compression straps were just, for me at least, a bit short. And at the time, I was using a homemade quilt that was synthetic, so it did not want to compress down as much.
Pretty big, so right?
That was one issue I had, and that was more of the fact that the quilt than the pack. The pack was nice. It was just those couple of gripes with those side pockets were a little bit small in generation 1, and the compression straps were just a little bit too short. And that's an easy fix. I just got some extra material of that diameter and cut the thing right near the base and sewed on a longer piece.
Right.
So that sort of fixed it pretty well. But really nice pack. The design was kind of new in that they came up with a central spine that had all the support. So the frame was basically this central strip.
So not two side supports, but one down the middle. Okay.
Yeah, one down the middle that sort of hugged right to the middle of your back, and it had a light frame sheet that went out from that. And when you got that thing dialed in, it just sort of like, oh, there it is. And it also let the pack bag be more circular. So it's attaching to your back down here, but it's also pulling up and away. So you didn't have your entire back covered by the pack. So you got better airflow through there.
So question on the capacity this was designed for. So 65 liters, but what's its intended capacity on weight carry?
30 to 35 pounds. I think most everybody comes in at about that.
Okay. So it has a light frame, 30, 35 pounds. What was the most that you remember loading it up to? Do you recall?
Like 34, I think, somewhere in that range.
Okay. And you weren't necessarily cursing?
No, I found it to be a very supportive, really, really well made pack. And when Jim's talking about one of his selections, another big feature is they came out with the adjustability of this pack is amazing. They have like 4 or 5 different waist belts you can get, and they have now, I think, 4 or 5 different shoulder yokes that you can get, or a harness setup that you can get. But whichever one you get, you can adjust the size very easily. It's a pretty clever design they came up with.
So the other thing I wanted to point out is this looks like it's a roll top as opposed to some sort of a lid.
It is a roll top pack.
So that's something that people seem to transition maybe as they lighten up or just as they grow into the activity in the sport. Was this really one of your first pack, or was it just earlier in your
my
career?
third pack?
Okay. So not your first one.
Yeah, my first pack was a Mountain Smith with I can't remember what the volume was.
Okay.
I remember that it was very padded, meaning heavy, empty, and that rather tall. So when I had it on, it was coming above my head.
So when we get to Jim and I, we'll
I don't
bring that up.
have any pictures of that, but yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And I did take that pack on a hike up in the Sierra with some friends, and some idiot brought a scale, and I won/lost because I had the lightest pack at 55 pounds.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I caught shit for 7 days from my friends for having such a light pack.
So then at some point, did you go right into this Gossamer gear pack after that?
Not immediately, but like a year and a half later.
I mean, so there was a transitional pack between these two?
No, sorry. Yes, this was the next one, but it was a year and a half later.
Okay.
2 years.
So
and this is Gossamer Gear's Mariposa. It's their biggest pack. Holds about 60 liters. It's pretty light. The one I had was before this redesign. I think this is after the redesign. The picture you have here, but a very nice pack. Initially, I didn't like it. On the other side that you can't see here, they have this one really long. The whole side thing is one pocket. And at first I thought, well, it's kind of a pain. You can't get to it with it when you're wearing the pack. But I ended up loving that because it was, just a bottomless hole. You could just keep throwing things in there. Your umbrella fits in there. Nothing, you can't lose anything. And it's pretty easy to fish in it once you take the pack off.
Okay.
My only gripe about this pack is that it just didn't quite fit me right. It wasn't uncomfortable, but I could feel the support frame when I had it loaded up, and it just didn't quite sit right on me. So I decided it wasn't for me, but it's a very nice pack. And with the redesign, they changed the fabric somewhat, and but they all have a similar design with big back pockets and maybe side pockets on them.
So you bring up a really interesting point, Dave. Was it didn't fit you well? Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of a key thing, right? There's this test out different packs to find out what works for you, what doesn't. And sometimes it's just, maybe you don't have hips, maybe you got big hips, maybe you got a long torso, short torso, whatever, or the way you pack it. Those are all unique things about packs.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. But well-made, well-designed pack. Nice.
Okay. Then after that one, you moved into this ULA Circuit.
Yep. So roughly the same size as the Six Moons pack, but it's the pack I'm currently using. It's a roll top. It has 2 side pockets, generous waist pockets on the waist belt, and a back pocket with a bungee over the back of it. Holds about the same volume. Fits really well. It has more of a traditional frame sheet in the pack, so it sits more against your back instead of pulling away like the Six Moons. Mm-hmm. But a really good product. And this was initially designed by that same guy, Brian Frankel, when he owned ULA.
So another roll top, and this has what it looks like. It has the side pockets and maybe a back stretch pocket.
It does, yeah. Side pockets, and then on the back, is that rope? That's not Robic. I can't remember what the fabric's called, but it's a stretchy material. Which the first few times I used it, it was super tight. And I'm like, they could have made this a little looser and bellows a little bit, but as it's broken in a bit, it's loosened up some. So,
Sure.
but still holds things very well. And you can cram a bunch of stuff in there, and the mesh or not mesh, the fabric absorbs it and grabs it.
Right. Okay. Nice. And what do you well, actually, to back up, so you said this didn't fit you so well. That's really the reason why you moved to it. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, it's a nice pack. Packing it up a couple of times felt, everything was all right. You just got to decide where you want things.
Sure.
But yeah, it just never quite sat right on my shoulders and such.
And then are there any shortcomings on the circuit that you are worth noting?
No, I'm pretty chuffed with this pack. The only reason I think I would change is if I wanted to drop down in size a little bit. That'd probably be about it. All three of these packs easily hold a bear canister in the vertical position. They don't, like the Catalyst and some others, you can put the thing horizontally in the pack. These don't have that volume, but you turn it upright, set it in the middle, and pack around it, and that works fine.
Yeah, I would say anything near that size, certainly near it's. I mean, I'd be shocked if a 60 liter didn't hold it, because the pack I'm currently in, I could downsize 10 liters if I didn't need a bear can. I don't know if a bear can would fit the next size down, but I'm kind of right teetering around that edge. So, okay, awesome. Thank you, Dave.
Yep, you're welcome.
So this beast was my first backpack that I had. It is a beast. It's Jack Wolfskin Denall. And when I was looking at the name, I was thinking of the Simpsons Canyonero, which smells like steak and seats 35 Canyonero. Yep. And this could hold, well, I don't know if it hold 35 people, but it could hold a crap ton of stuff, right? And then it's got more pockets and zippers than a Michael Jackson jacket. And so it's got a bottom sleeping bag compartment, a center compartment, a lid. It's got pockets on the side. It's got buckles. It's made out of bomb-proof nylon. It's got padding all over the place. So I thought, man, this is going to last me forever. Well, also found really quick that it didn't fit me very well. I don't have a whole lot in the way of hips department. So the hip belt, I remember I was trying to mess around with it, and it's integral. So that was pretty brutal. And at over 6 pounds, there's a pretty steep penalty. Oh, the other one, 75 liters. Okay. Anyone remember the high school chemistry, or maybe college chemistry? Gas expands to fill the volume of a container. Yeah. The same thing with the pack, right? You will bring 75 liters worth of crap. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I think that's a general principle for most everything. Your car, the bigger your car, the more stuff you'll have. The bigger your house and garage, the more stuff you cram in there.
Right. I'm talking about mom purses. My wife, it's like the bigger the purse she had when we had kids. Like, I was like, well, I got room for a coloring book and Cheerios and crayons. It's like, nope, sorry, I got a pocketbook now. You're going to have to carry your own crap.
But at the time, that was worth every ounce of that weight to keep the kids happy.
That is true. Okay, so the price on this, I know I got mine on sale, and with the Wilderness Basics course discount, I was probably close to $100 when I got it, but it was still 6 pounds, and it was still some very strong nylon. I'd say for me, the first big issue was the fit, and that was probably the absolute deal breaker. Second was that it's heavy. So when I had an opportunity to lighten up, and more importantly, to find something that fit better, I did. So Jim has sent me an old embarrassing picture of him out, and I lost it. I think Gmail thought it was spam, so I had to find my old embarrassing picture. So this is me in 2005. They're on the left, and so my pack is blue and black. It's not. I don't have it loaded quite as tall, but it's definitely taller than my head. It's big, but I still couldn't fit everything inside. I still have crap on the outside. So, yep. So the next pack after that for me was the Osprey Exos, and a little bit smaller, a lot lighter, right? So we saved more than 2 pounds on this one, but most importantly, I fell in love with the Osprey fit. the Osprey fit works really, really well on my body. And this, I was just super pleased with it. It just feels like a glove. This one, a couple things about this one, it looks like they've changed the model, but at the time, the hip belt came off and the lid came off, and you could. Oh, I take that back. No, that's what Jim has. That didn't come off.
Yeah,
that's right. That didn't. My brother had what you had. It didn't come off. Very padded hip belt. I think the hip belt may have been interchangeable. I'm trying to recall now. Anyway, a fair amount of pockets and zippers, a little bit less, definitely lighter weight material. Very, very good. So I like I said,
right there.
The fit was outstanding, right? That was probably
that mesh back panel to help get more air on your back.
right.
It does. Yeah. Right. And I think that's the other one is I always run hot. So I think that's always a big value for me. The other thing is that, I don't know, I forget. I have another sip of beer. While I'm thinking about what I wanted to say, we're about halfway through. So if you got questions or comments, throw it in the chat or Q&A, and we'll make sure we get to it towards the end. But I was very happy with this pack. I still have it, and it's my loaner pack. So if one of my buddies, if I want to drag a friend along on it, this is what they're going to use. It's fairly adjustable to other body sizes. It's not completely adjustable, but it's fairly adjustable to similar size people. So, then I transitioned into another Osprey, but this was the Exos. Okay, good. Those names are so similar. I was afraid I messed up.
Well, you did.
Did I really?
Are they backwards?
Okay. So the Exos is the lighter pack. It's just over 2 pounds, or it's 3 pounds. It's a little bit smaller, 58 liters. The hip belt is integral. It has that zigzag side compression, as you mentioned. This one, the lid comes off. It completely comes off, and there's actually a flap that goes over that's integral into that one. What's awesome on that is I found that I don't need the top lid. I save 7 ounces. So what's interesting on this one is I have a full frame, or nearly a full frame. It fits me really well, and it gets really close to some of the lighter weight packs that Dave or Jim will probably talk about. So for me, if I could give up the frame, I could maybe drop another 6 ounces, but for me, 6 or 8 ounces is worth the frame, and it's worth the ride for my person. Again, the fit on Ospreys really works for me. It only really has side pockets in the back, stretch pockets, and that's it. Hasn't been an issue for me. So, that's I've been in the Osprey world for quite some time. So
did you put shoulder pad pockets on it?
I did. I have, since I use water bottles, I have a Justin's water bottle on. I have one Justin water bottle sleeve on one side and an umbrella clip on the other side, and I think I've got a little pocket for my phone. One of the things I don't like that they did on the Exos in the last couple of years is they got rid of the side pockets, the hip pockets on the belt. So the early versions had pockets that you could keep a Cliff Bar or a goo or something in there, and they took them away. And that was kind of a little bit of a pisser. Okay, so those are my packs. And then let's see what we got for, now we're to Jim.
All righty. So everything Dan said about his first one, as far as size and how you fill it up, that's mine with the Aether 70. It's just over 5 pounds. It will hold everything. And when I took the WBC class, I had that loaded up to 50 pounds on desert. And so I had it totally loaded up, and not everything would fit inside. So at the bottom, it's got straps that you can tie your tent to the bottom back. And, I had a few other things. I would have been perfect walking in front of Al. stuff hanging off of it.
Mhm.
So the one thing that opposed to yours is that being an Osprey, it fits like a glove. If it weighed 2 pounds less, I might still be using it because the fit and the feel of Osprey is great.
Mhm.
I just didn't like the weight, and so I decided that I bought this in 2008. I still have it. I still have it for bad years of snow camp. That hasn't been. I think it's been 6 years since I've needed it.
Right. Right.
So, but I still have it, and I'm ready to use it anytime that I need the volume. So,
And there's not nearly, I mean, the fabric weight is not quite as heavy as what I had on the Jack Wolfskin.
right.
And they've done better with fabrics over the years, but I have a
Well,
few.
but this was also back with the Osprey has an adjustable back as far as the height,
Right.
and this belt they had a small oven, and you would fit the belt. They would stick it in the oven, and they would fit it on you
Mm-hmm.
and let it cool down, and so it was molded to your hips,
Right.
and
Nice.
so it really fit great.
Now, was this the same model where the hip belt would come off and you could take the
Yep.
lid off and turn it
Yep.
into a fanny pack?
Yes, you can take the lid off
Right.
and change that into a fanny pack.
And I'm trying to figure out, I may have owned this. I may have had another pack in my lineup because it seems like that's something I owned. And it also seems like something I never did.
Right.
Like, what a great idea. I was like, I'm a pain in the butt.
Exactly. I did it one time and I said, man, that's way too much trouble.
Right.
The ability appeals to my Y chromosome, but the functionality is like, this is not worth the trouble.
Yeah.
Just
Exactly.
empty my pack and take whatever I actually need to take.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So
So my next pack, 1 year later, the year after when I took WBC, I used it the Aether 2 seasons of WBC. Right after the second season in 2009, I bought this, which is the ULA Catalyst. It says 75 liters. It's more like a 68 liters, I would say, is about right. And they claim 40 pounds. And I've had mine up to 40 pounds for desert. And it handled everything perfectly.
Okay.
Just because of all the extra water weight. When being a leader, I took extra water more than what I required the students to take.
well, Doug's made a comment in the Q&A saying that he has the Catalyst as well. Uses it for week-long trips, snow trips, Sierras, and he's frequently had it at 55 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
And
that,
I've done 50 pounds in that pack as well, and it'll do it.
and that's my snowpack.
Yeah.
So I still have that one also. That's what I normally use for snow camp.
And what kind of a frame does that have in it? Or does it have?
That has the sheet and 2 stays.
Okay.
So it has 2 aluminum stays and a plastic frame sheet. So
Okay. Nice.
fits well.
And what caused you to change out of this pack?
I didn't need that much volume. And I wanted something lighter. So what I did was after this one, I actually went to the one Dave showed you, the Catalyst
Mm-hmm.
or the Circuit.
Circuit. Right.
I used that, and I still have that. And then I went to I tried the Gossamer gear, had the Mariposa. I found that it did not fit me very well, and I could feel the stays on my back.
Oh, yeah.
So I got rid of that one, and I went to the Six Moon Designs.
So this one, the Swift X.
Right, and that's what I have now. I have they had one before this was called the Minimalist, and I used that for 1 year. And I like this because this is a pure roll top.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have the straps pulling down that you have to kind of roll it up, but then pull the cinches down.
Right.
I just wanted a pure roll top with a cinching cord over it. And so that's what I'm using now. It comes in 2 different types of material. This one's called Light Skin, and they also have VX. They're both waterproof. They say they'll carry 35 pounds. I had it up to 35 pounds this year when I was doing a long carry on the Hat Creek Rim, and 35 pounds is not comfortable.
Okay. Right.
30 is the sweet spot. 30, it was great.
Didn't you have this in with 37 pounds when we were out in the desert the other week?
Yeah, but that was a short hike. That was just a half a day before you could drop off some of the water weight.
So it did fine for that.
No, yeah. I've had it
day out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So works great. I'm very happy with Six Moon. Like Dave was talking about, I have both the vest harness and the regular backpacking harness for it. And so when I have lighter weights, I use the vest. I like the feel of that. With a heavier weight, I'll put the regular backpacking harness on it. Same thing with the hip belt. I have the regular hip belt, which is a very lightweight hip belt with no plastic in it. It's just a pure cloth and foam hip belt. And then I actually have a ULA hip belt that I use when I have heavy water carries, because it has a more form to it. And so it's interchangeable. It works great.
We need to adjust the pricing on that pack up by like $400 in just hip belts now.
Yeah. Good question from Suspicious Kelly. Do you count the weight of the pack in your base weight? So if you said it carries 35 pounds, do you mean 35 pounds of content, or do you mean 35 pounds including the pack?
Total weight.
Total weight. Yeah. That's all I've always assumed it to mean, the pack on a scale when it's full. That's the weight.
So if the pack weighs 2 pounds, I could put in 33 pounds of content to make it to 35 pounds.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Which is, and I think that, and the reason that came up in a conversation Kelly and I had was like, could I make it down to 30 pounds? What would it have? Because that, as you both mentioned, 30 pounds seems to be a sweet spot for crossing over to really light packs. And what would it take to get to 30 pounds? Well, if it's 30 pounds, so it's that's I could probably make 30 pounds. It's good with a push on a few things. So, okay.
Well, it depends on the trip too, because if you're out in the desert, keeping 30 pounds is very difficult if you're carrying 6 to 8 liters of water.
Right.
So, it's just one of those things where, and I was 1 pound under Dave when we went out to the desert.
But not that there was a contest or anything.
No.
No,
but
he turned it into one, because he yogied half of the beer, the pint of beer, half of the extra pint of beer that I had. So he was bragging that he came in 1 pound lighter and got an extra half beer out of the deal. So,
well,
I mean, that's just brilliance, isn't it?
It is. Right. The lightest gear is the gear that stays at home or that someone else carries. So
exactly.
You can switch that to the lightest beer. That works as well. And it's both are correct.
So a couple ideas before we wrap up, because we're almost out of time. We're actually out of time, but we can make this. It seems, so there's this transition of, where we're often want to go for the strongest, burliest thing ever. And then all of us seem to be in definitely lighter packs. Maybe, not ultralight. I'm not in an ultralight pack. I'm in a light pack, and there are lighter packs out there, right? That either of you have.
Right.
But for me, I think the thing that I really wanted to stress for people tonight is that there's a transition, right? It's, if I would have taken the pack I'm in now and started off with that, it wouldn't have worked right for me. Just like you, if you tried to shove 55 pounds in what we're in now, it would have been a horrible disaster.
Well, and it wouldn't have fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had a full
That's plenty
sleeping
done to begin
bag.
with.
I
using
had
lot
a
of
huge pad.
Yeah.
I had a full cook kit that had a little frying pan on the top. Just all of this would not have fit in the pack I'm using now.
So I think, isn't that one of the concepts though, is the pack is one of the last things that you should change out, right? Change out all the rest of
Correct.
as much of your kit as you can. Your big three: tent, sleeping bag, and pack. But so tent, sleeping bag, if you get those first, and those were both game changers for me when I went from synthetic to down. Wow, that was amazing. And when I went to a small hybrid tent, a small one-person hybrid tent, probably like when you went to a tarp, that was a major change as well as far as volume.
Right, exactly. So it's not just weight; it's volume also, and that's one of the big criteria. I have 2 ultralight packs. They're Mountain Laurel designs. I just don't. Except for an overnight in the middle of summer, my base weight isn't down to where I need it to be to do a frameless pack.
Right. Okay.
So,
okay. Good point.
And I'd just like to point out that everybody starts out by going to some place like REI or Nomad Venture.
Yeah.
And they Nomad actually does carry ULA.
That's right.
They don't carry.
They have 6 Moon also.
They have 6 Moons as well. Oh, great! So that'd be a great shop to go check out. But a lot of the Mountain Hardware. Trying to think of that place that DJ works for the Matt Gregory. They all came from more the traditional background, and they all initially were imitating military packs where they would make it out of the super heavy stuff because people are going to abuse it, and so they were super heavy. And by abuse, I mean like people want to be shooting at the packs, and missing it in the packs, or they're throwing them off of vehicles and nobody cared. So when you decide that, actually, instead of doing this, I'll go and place it down, you can now lighten up the fabrics. And all the manufacturers, even, everybody at REI, they're now doing that, but they're so far behind what are still mostly cottage manufacturers, who the people made by long distance hikers oftentimes. So that gives them a target to shoot for, to lighten and be responsive to the customers.
Nice.
Instead of one pack for the next 30 years.
I'm going to leave that as the closing thought, Dave. You had the last word.
He's not married.
No.
See?
I'm not going to say it because my wife won't watch this. She watched it the other day. So we're going to call that a night. Watch, even if you watch it the night, see what I do with the edits. We'll see if I can pull that off and make it look better than it really was. So I'm going to take the next couple of weeks off. We got some holidays coming up. So I'll be back January 6th. I think I might put out a direct to YouTube video in between then. I got a new GoPro this year and some microphones. So I'm going to try some stuff out in the trail. We'll see what that looks like. So Start practicing with that. Have some fun with that. Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your insight and your opinion as always. Yep. And we'll see you after Christmas and New Year's. We'll see you back in January. All
right. Sounds great.
Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Bye.